This is the KD70. It is a 7-inch Cinewhoop and it is X8, so designed for lifting cinema cameras. And obviously you've got the redundancy of the X8 setup with 2 ESCs, 8 motors in a X configuration. And this is a unique caged Cinelifter because if you can see here along the side, it's actually double pusher. So the props are both sets of props are facing downwards instead of facing into each other. That has a couple of advantages. First of all, it's more efficient because the exit airflow of the bottom props is not blocked at all. And secondly, it offers much easier prop replacement. So if you need to replace your bottom layer of props, you can just get to them straight away. And if you need to replace the top layer of props, it opens up super easily. And that's one of the other main design features, is this is very easy to build and repair because the 2 layers of motors, as you can see in the middle, and we'll go in more depth later, are connected by an XT90 in the middle and just by an ESC wiring harness here. So you can unscrew and unplug the layer of motors and get inside this thing without desoldering any motors at all. So we're going to take a closer look now inside, and then later we'll show the build process and how you put it all together. So here it is up close, and let me show you what I was talking about with that double pusher design. So the way this works is made up of 3 carbon plates. You have the top plate here, the middle plate, and the bottom plate. On the top plate and the middle plate, you have 4 motors mounted, and each plate has an ESC. Now you can put the flight controller on the middle plate, or you can put the flight controller on the top plate. It doesn't really matter, it just changes on how you access things inside. Now there are 3 mounting options for power. You can have the XT90 facing out the back here, you can have it here facing out the top, or you can use this print which is included with the frame kit, put it on the standoffs here, and have the XT90 mounted out the bottom if you want to bottom mount your battery, and you have lots of slots there as well to do that. So if we look back inside the frame, you can see you have the power coming along here, and then it splits right there, and there is an internal XT90 which connects the middle and the top plate, and then power goes up here to this ESC, and you can see these white wires here. That's the wiring harness right there that connects the ESC on the top to the flight controller, which is here, and it would be the same if you had the flight controller on the top, it would just connect to the ESC on the bottom here. And so the way this works is that you build up these plates separately, and I'll show you that later in the video with the build assembly guide, and then you simply plug them together and screw them all together. So you can take apart these plates and build them without any soldering, and also if you want to change this top layer of props, you can literally just unscrew everything and unplug it and pull them apart and then put them back together again. You don't have to desolder anything. And so that just gives a really clean build, much easier to build, and also allows, like I said, for this clean exit airflow, which gives better handling performance and also better efficiency. So for mounting options, you can really put things all over this frame. Firstly, you've got these M4 holes with press nuts in, and those come installed in the frame already. And you've got 6 of those on the top and 6 on bottom, as you'll see. So you can either use something like this, the KD camera mount, which you can buy separately, or the DAC mount, and they both have the same mounting holes on the bottom. Dimensions for those are on the website if you want to create your own frame and use this mount, or use this frame and create your own mount. And that can just go on here on the front, or it can go in the middle for your camera. So if you want to put the battery on the bottom and have a really big payload on the top, you can do that, or you can have your camera in the front and you can mount your battery on the bottom. We've also got these holes here, which are the standard sizing Naked Blackmagic holes. So if you've got a Naked Blackmagic kit, you want to mount it on here, that will fit. If I just show you the underside, you can see these same holes here for the KD camera mount in the front and in the middle, like that. And you've also got these 1/4-20 slots if you want to mount something else random on the bottom. That will work completely fine. So if we just put this camera mount on top here and screw that in, so there you can see we've got a camera mounted on there at the front and the battery on the back, and you could do the same thing on the bottom. You put the battery on the bottom, put the camera in the middle here. It really just gives you a lot of options, and it's very versatile. So another thing you've got here is this XT30 mounting, and the frame kit comes with this single one and also a double one. It comes with 2 XT30s as well to put in there. So this you can wire in below to your internal BEC, and I've got mine right in there to provide 12 volts or 8 volts or whatever your camera needs. And yeah, it's nice. You can have the single one or the double one. It comes with prints and XT30s for both. You've got the FPV camera mounting up here, and this is designed so that you get no frame in view, but it recesses it in a little bit to keep it protected. And you've also got these on here. You'll see on the bottom plate there are 2 sets of holes in each position, and that's because these other holes are used if you want to use the bottom plate with the top plate to make an X4 configuration. So that's why those are there. It gives you the option. And then you've also got these feet around, comes with 8 of those, just to keep it above the ground, keep the carbon protected. Okay, so let's go through the build of this thing. We have 3 different sections. We have the top plate here, we have the middle plate here, and then we have the bottom plate here. So I'm going to put the bottom plate aside for now because that will just go on the end, and we're going to first focus on the top plate. So this is how I've done my top plate, and if you want to do an X4, then you'll simply do whatever we do on the middle plate on the top plate, so you'll have the flight controller on the top plate as well, but that's about it, and you'll see how that goes along as we explain the build. So you've got your 4 motors here, and the motors you can use 16x16 or 19x19 mount motors. There are slots for both. And you've got your ESC on here, the motor's connected up, and then I've got my spike absorber and capacitor on there as well. And you can see I've also mounted my 12 volt BEC here, so I've just run power from the ESC here, and that's going out to the XT30 powering my camera. And again, you get a kit. In the kit you get a double one, so you can have 2 XT30s coming off here if you need power for the camera or transmission, for example, as well. And then this is the important bit. We've got the XT90 female coming off here. So that is just connected up to this ESC, and then you want sort of 5 centimeters of wire or so, and then that is going to be facing up, and that is what's going to be connecting into the middle plate to get the power. Or you can have the mounted XT90 on the back on 2 standoffs here, on the outer ones here, and have that coming across, and then have this splitting, this female XT90 splitting here and then coming up the middle, and that'll make more sense when we look at the middle plate. So the way I've built it, it's all pretty straightforward here, and this then will just plug into the XT90 here and this wiring harness. Now let's look at the middle plate. So this is the middle plate here, and this is what I like to build first actually, because what you do is in this configuration, where I'm just going to be using it as an X8, you've got the ESC, you've got the flight controller on top, or on bottom, because this is how it would actually go. You can see the camera facing up. This side would be the top, but we build it upside down, like most pushers do. So we've got the ESC, the flight controller, the motors again connected up, and then we've got the power coming in through the back here. So I've got the XT90 mounted this way. It comes through, and then this XT90 mounts in the middle there, and you can see there are M3 press nuts, so that screws in from this side, which is the top of the middle plate. That screws in there, this XT90 male. So it's very easy to just run 1 red and 1 black wire over here, open up a section in the middle, and then solder it to the XT90 mounted on there, and then I just cover this in hot glue to avoid any shorts, so you can make it cleaner, do whatever you like. Goes onto the XT60 there. I've got my cap and spike absorber coming off there as well, and then power for the flight controller. So then this harness here from the flight controller is going through this slot in the middle, and then that is what is going to connect to the top plate and the ESC, which is going to go right here. So you're connecting this harness here and you're connecting the XT90, and that is it. So you don't need to desolder or anything like that. And then I've got my receiver here, I've got my video transmitter, and again there's mounting everywhere. You got zip tie slots here, you got them in the back, there's holes everywhere for you to mount whatever you want. So really there are lots of options. This is how I've done it, but you could come up with lots of options by yourself. Now one thing to note is you want to install all of the standoffs on the middle plate before you do anything else. So these need to all be installed. The last thing you need to do is just mount your camera on the top here, and then again you've got your SMAs here. So I'm having this one coming out the side, but you could also run it down the back here and then have it going up and then through this way into the top plate if you wanted them running out the back instead. I just find it a bit cleaner on this one running them out the side. So then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to take your top plate and attach it to your middle plate. So it's going to go like this on top there, and everything's going to line up. So we just take this XT90, line it up, plug it in like this, and then we're going to want to go in there and make sure it's in securely. So you can just grab it like this and press it all the way in. There we go, so that XT90 is seated properly. And then I like to use these sort of slightly angled tweezers, and then it's a little bit tricky to do this on camera while trying to do it, but just grab that wiring harness in there, but just goes in like that. There we go. And then push that in to make sure it's fully seated. Perfect. So that is the top and middle plate connected. So what we're going to do then is just use all of these M3x8 countersunk screws and screw in the top plate. I like to start with these two middle ones to get everything located. So put one of those in there. And then you're just going to go around and do the same thing everywhere else. Okay, then I'm going to install this SMA connector for my antenna. So now we're going to do the same thing, just putting the bottom plate on. You've already got your props installed, and it goes on like this, and we've got these little feet here with the M3x12 screws, and those go here, 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 and here, and then the M3x8 countersunk screws go everywhere else. And then you just need to put your antennas on and you're finished. So you can place your battery straps on the back here, in the middle, on the bottom, wherever you want them really, and the battery pads as well, and those are both included. You can just stick them on wherever you like. And that's pretty much it. So you can see here, if you look around this side, you've got easy access to the flight controller USB here, because it's not in the middle, it's slightly off-centered, so these standoffs don't block it, so you can just put your flight controller whichever way around, gives you easy access to that USB, and same thing for the video transmitter here, it's sort of slightly shifted off that standoff, so you should have easy USB access to everything. And there it is. I really look forward to seeing all of your builds, seeing what you guys do with this. And if you have any questions, just message me on the website, on WhatsApp, on Instagram, wherever you can find me by email, and I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. Now, all the 3D prints for the frame are on my GrabCAD, and the link is available on the website. And same thing for the Betaflight tune, that's also on there. Use the tune at your own risk, obviously. I've got my recommended parts on the website, so if you match that, it should be pretty good. But again, it really depends on sort of the payload you're putting on there, whether you've got bigger cameras, smaller cameras, all that sort of stuff. So really use that at your own risk. It's a guide, it's what I use, but it will not work for everyone, and it may cause your drone to fly away or crash. So do that at your own risk, please. But I hope you all enjoy this frame. It's been really good for me. I love using it. And I've put a lot of thought into all the design features, and hopefully it'll be as useful as possible to all of you.